Man, is it time for some of y'all to be some of those Stedmen, some of those well-kept men? Are you ready to get flew out to the Conference USA title game to see Sam Houston? We're talking about it right now. Get in, sound off, and have a take. Don't suck. The Bearkat Bite podcast is live. I'm Fobbs, your host, the person that's covering Bearkat Bites right now. So there we are. Here we are. The only year-round media covering Sam Houston football, and only Sam Houston football right here. I also write for the Victoria Advocate, the Huntsville newspaper, and a host of others that you all will see later this year. But for right now, we're talking about Sam Houston, and if you like what we do, please go ahead. The links are in the description. Buy us a Cat's Coffee, guys. Buy us a Cat's Coffee. Go ahead there on the buy us one. It just starts at $2. Go ahead and support what we do here. Support the work. Make sure you comment. Make sure you share. Make sure you comment and click like of what we're doing. And if you agree, or even if you disagree, because you're here. So Sam Houston, what we're talking about today, the high school signing class, the Sam Houston high school signing class. It has a lot of people excited, particularly the head coach named Phil Longo. That's where we're going to start right now, because last year, other than really a Brody Henderson, there weren't many high school players. There weren't many that were signed last year, even the transfer portal, that would even be considered football players, as we saw at times. That was the product of a coach and a team that had to scramble after being hired in December, not getting started until January, moving around, having to do all of these things. And so now at that point, what they were left with was the minutia of what will become a 2-win football team. Okay. And it was in that time that there were people calling for the heads of coaches and benching players and, the typical things that come with a 10-win season. This is why I told you all that Bearkat Bites is your go-to resource. Independent football media, a cold analysis of this program known as Sam Houston football. I said this program, this coaching staff that you all are ready to fire and all of these things and call for heads and question, they haven't even had a full off season. I mean, these guys haven't had a full off season. And so now that they have, and I told you all, give them a full offseason leading into a year in which they'll finally play at home. Let me tell you something. Playing over at Dynamo Stadium was not fun. That was not. I mean, we could do a whole broadcast on that, but the point is now there's a full complement of an offseason, and these are the players that you have been delivered from the high school ranks. Now, Longo today met with the media, but he did not talk about the transfers. I mean, we can talk about any transfers that you want to. Make sure you comment, but I just want to talk about what he delivered to us today. I sat in. Candidly, I was working full time, so I could not ask questions. But most of the questions were asked. A lot of the questions I had were about the transfers anyway. Particularly the large number of defensive backs that were signed total. But that question encompasses the transfer guys. So it's like, we can get to that later. That's fine. If you just want to talk high school, fine. But there were some interesting things that were said now that there's this full complement. Now, Garrett Stinnett, the safety out of, where was he? He was out of Pflugerville, out of Weiss High School in Pflugerville, where my cousin-in-laws live, where my wife's cousins live, by the way. He deflected from Sam Houston. He is now going to go to New Mexico State. But other than that, there weren't any more negative surprises for the Bearcats. There was a couple of good surprises, particularly in the quarterback room, which we'll discuss. Other than that, very Texas heavy. Longo talked about that. But every coach talks about that. I think he was in there listening to Scotty Walden a little bit. He let it slip that there weren't spots that were promised, but guys were gonna play. But they brought in guys they think can play today. What do y'all think about that? Now, we talked about maybe sometimes some promises may have been made to guys that weren't kept last year. Maybe a couple of road coaches here and there. Who knows? Maybe that was reeled in. People all got on the same page. It tends to happen. So let's start with some of the things that Longo said. And we're going to post this tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribed as well to the Bearkat Bites newsletter. It is free to subscribe. We've got some t-shirts in the back. If you become a year subscriber at the $50 level, you're going to get one. All of those links are in the description there. But go ahead. What do y'all think about the class? We'll post it there too, and it's online and stuff, but we'll have a story about it in the newsletter. Longo talked about how these were some better character guys. He talked that these were guys that they were able to sit down with their parents. They were able to sit down with their high school coaches. They were able to sit down with the player himself. And he admitted that did not happen last year. Now, some people, you could get upset at that. I wouldn't be upset at that. I am encouraged. I'm encouraged by a coach that recognizes where things fell short and those have turned around, right? I recognize that. That's okay. That's okay. I'm going to run through my points here and then we'll see what you guys think. I'm going to run through some of my points. I think that's good. So that's encouraging. There's a better idea who these guys are. There's not going to be as many attitude problems, all these things that plagued them the first year. The deflections, the low-key mutinies, that should not be an issue this year. That's good for another win or two, possibly, right? And it's just come for better communication. As I said earlier at the top of our broadcast, Sam Houston, there were promises made, maybe not. They were or were not kept. All these different things, miscommunications. Everybody seems to be on the same page. There seems to be a cohesive plan, both in the high school recruiting phase and the transfer portal recruiting phase. If you're a Bearkat fan, that should be encouraging, right? That should be encouraging. Now, 247 Sports has this high school class listed. I think some have it at some recruiting databases have them at 8. Some have them anywhere from 8 to 10 out of 11. Lower half is the consensus. But again, that doesn't take into account the transfers. So, that can boost it up. That doesn't take into account some of these guys will be surprises. There's all sorts of things with that. So, but that's just another pin for people that like to ask those things. I know those are some things that you guys were thinking about. Ty Sexton, by the way, the wide receiver Ty Sexton is already on campus. So there are 3 players on campus. I've confirmed that Ty Sexton is there. I do not know the other ones. I'd have to go back through my notes. I'm not too sure. I want to say maybe Miles Joseph, but don't quote me on that one. Don't quote me on that one. So there's that. So that's encouraging. And some guys are ready to play today. Are they? That's kind of what Phil Longo wanted. These are the guys that he recruited, guys that they could put in there right now. These are guys that need to crack the 2 deep, or at least challenge legitimately to crack the 2 deep, be some starters, get some guys out of that. After seeing Brody Henderson, some of the things he was able to do, I mean, why the hell not? Why wouldn't it be some of these guys? Why wouldn't it be some of these big offensive linemen that AJ Hop brought in? Why wouldn't it be some of these big guys with that new money that Sam Houston's got? Why wouldn't it be? We talked last week about how Bobby Williams, he's really got it rolling and cracking with that stuff, right? With as far as the money. So why wouldn't you want to see some of these guys crack the 2 deep, So we'll see. As far as the ones who could, I mean, we can all throw out names. I try to keep the broadcast concise and leave it open to you all's comments. And I see you guys commenting. Keep it up. We'll get to some of those here. So we're not going to go through names and things. And there's other wonderful outlets, March of the Pod, others that they will take their best shots at who's going to start. We can do that all day. You never know, right? The story that I think is possibly here, the competition for Landon Locke. Now, there were 2 top quarterbacks brought in. Some of you guys who are excited about some of those names Some of you guys who are excited about those names at quarterback, some of you all were asking me, Mason Holtzclaw out of Carrollton, Georgia, Brett Holloway out of Melissa. Are these guys who could maybe challenge Landon Locke? Phil Longo, you know, he sounded very committed to a quarterback competition. If nothing else, to sharpen up Landon Locke, right? Make sure he's sharp. And Longo, again, he's not afraid to play true freshmen. I mean, I found it shocking that last year, we got Landon Locke and got to talk to him. A lot of programs will not let true freshmen talk to the media, you know, for whatever sordid myriad of reasons that they do that, right? But a lot of freshmen, a lot of them will not. A lot of those programs won't let that. Phil Longo's not afraid of that. What he wants is, give me a mature freshman that's ready, and you know, all these things that I can mold them in what I need them to do, right? He did it with Drake May. He did it with Sam Howell, these guys in North Carolina, right? Even Shea Patterson to a degree at Ole Miss. So you got to think about that. He's got a history of that. I think that and you can see it right here. Could be Holtzclaw, could be Holloway. We don't know. That's going to be a very interesting fall camp. It was a fun fall camp last year because there's always the intrigue of ripping a new coach out of the package like a toy and seeing what happens. This one's going to be intriguing because for the quality of the players, the quality of the competition that you're going to see this spring camp, this fall camp. It's going to be fun because of that. And this competition is going to kind of mark that. These are all also quarterbacks that Longo could run in his system. So they're all going to have this equal time. This isn't going to be Hunter Watson and Phil Longo trying to mold this thing and all this other stuff. This is going to be something completely different, right? I think that's very cool. And finally, so with all that stuff, man, some of y'all better pick, man. You gotta grab that money. Some of y'all may have to do stuff for money, trying to get to the CUSA title game. I've heard some of you all in hushed and excited tones about the Conference USA title game. So some of y'all may have to get y'all little pennies together for that title game. Or at least the bowl game, right? You know, if it's in New Orleans, maybe y'all might have to take her out in the daylight. Maybe y'all might have to do that if the team's good enough. Do you think the team is good enough as constructed? Again, we got to see a schedule. By the way, I have this theory. The Conference USA, they don't know what they're going to do with La Tech. So remember, La Tech's thinking that they're going to bolt. They got to get with the Sun Belt. It's about payments, legalities. Conference USA has a low-key conundrum on their hands with that stuff. So I'm monitoring that, by the way. We're monitoring that here at Bearkat Bites because that affects when Sam Houston's going to get their Conference USA schedule. So I'm not ready to guess any wins or losses yet because we don't have a schedule. I don't know who the hell they're playing. Well, they're going to get a bowl game. We don't know who the hell they're playing. We don't know. I'm not ready to say all of this yet. Put that money in some dang ETFs. Put that money in some dang ETFs. Or put that money here. Buy some dang Cat's coffee. Let's go to some of your comments. What's going on, General Sam? What's going on, man? I hope they don't get it here and comment. I hope they didn't promise spots because after the portal, I don't know how many kids will play. No spots were promised. And Phil Longo said that we didn't promise any spots, but we know that these are character guys. So that's a thing. That's a thing. Cato June, Caden Wingfield. These are guys that could play tomorrow. Well, Cato June comes from NFL stock, so could be. I like Caden Wingfield. Is that who? Hold on. No, it was Dowdy, MJ Dowdy. Let me say something. Let me say something really quick about. Oh, those are the guys on campus. Okay. Cato June, Caden Wingfield, and Ty Sexton. So those are the three. Phil Longo did say the three guys were on campus. So those are the three. We'll say it again. Cato June, Junior, Caden Wingfield, and Ty Sexton are your three high school recruits that are on campus right now. If you drive around Huntsville, you might see the son of an NFL player. That's kind of cool. There you go. Caden Wingfield, I want to say something about the running backs. He's a running back, but I want to say something about the running backs of Sam Houston. Phil Longo did compare MJ Dowdy, their running back recruit. I believe he's out of Georgia. Yes, out of Winder, Georgia, Barrow High School there. He compared him to Coco Brown. According to Phil Longo, if he's right, you got a couple of Coco Browns that you can pound right there in the game. That's a pretty good comparison. I like Coco Brown. So those are your three guys on campus. I do low key. Let's see what we got here. I like only three quarterbacks being here for the spring, so those guys can get as much reps as possible. Yeah. Give them as much reps, and then you got these high school guys. You know, they. Phil Longo said they're not going to penalize them for not being on campus right now. It just kind of happens, but they'll be there in June. So they'll be behind the 8 ball, right? So that helps Landon Locke. And so Landon Locke's as good as you think he is. He's got to step up on them in terms of playing and in terms of this offseason prep. Should be good to go. If he's the guy a lot of you all think he is. But that remains to be seen. But yeah, overall, you guys want some of my unbiased thoughts on this. And go ahead, buy us a coffee. Link in the description. You all want my unbiased thoughts on this class. The bar was very low last year, right? But even taking that into account, I like the class. I like the size of this class. I like the speed, all of that stuff. It's not bad. Phil Longo also alluded to the fact that he showed some love to the Texas High School Association. He's reaching out to them. He's getting his roots back planted into the ground here. That's good. A lot of you guys are saying, well, Phil Longo was coaching here. He was gone for like 10 years. He was gone for 10 years. He left in 2014. I mean, there's been a lot of coach turnover at these schools in that time. A lot of new schools have opened. You know what I'm saying? So now he's getting his teeth back sunk into it. That's a good thing. As far as the ranking, I mean, I don't really look too much at the high school rankings and stuff. I just look at the quality of what guys they brought in. And it looks like Sam Houston brought some good players in. So, you feel a lot better about this offseason than you did the last one. A lot of questions are kind of filled now a little bit. Things feel a little more solid. So we'll see. Excuse me. Again, without the benefit of having a schedule in front of me, and none of us do. It hasn't been released yet, the full one. We know four games that Sam Houston's playing, but we don't know the conference schedule. That's going to determine that. So we'll see what happens. But it's going to do it for Bearkat Bites right there. We will see you guys. Like, share, subscribe. Go ahead and buy us a Cat's Coffee. Link in the description. We'll see you all. Take care. All college football is good college football.